Hello, my name is Dave Kuno. Today we're going to take a first glance at how Celonis can improve the process through 100% transparency of incident management. This is a ticketing system. It could be ServiceNow. It could be a custom homegrown system. But what we want to demonstrate here today is how a ticket, either from a customer service desk for external customers or for an incident created in terms of your IT support desk, how we can look in and begin to see what is happening with the process. What you're looking at here today quickly is the what we like to call the happy path. So as you can see here, we've ingested about 119,000 different tickets from our ServiceNow application, and it's showing us an average incident resolution time of about 34 hours. What you see down the middle here is the most common path of all the paths that are taken for the incident. And it looks pretty straightforward, as the happy path typically does. But within this happy path, there are a number of variations that stand out that we'd like to show. What you do see immediately from this happy path is it is only one of almost 4,000 different ways in which tickets can be handled. And it does represent about 42% of the cases here. So digging into this as we explore, what you can do with Celonis very quickly is pull out, in this case, what are the top 5 ways in which a ticket is handled. And you can begin to see in these top 5, we're a little over about half of the percentage of tickets coming through here. Immediately, you can begin to zoom in and drill down and see where time, in the case here of 25 hours between changing a category and assigning a ticket, losing almost a day, just in this particular step right here becomes an area of being able to look at, see what's happening, and try to understand why there's a time latency here. Additionally, we can see that there's almost 51 hours here between waiting for a user information and marking a ticket as resolved, and then also another 139 hours between resolving it and closing the ticket out. Areas that could be specifically explored and further trying to understand where the process inefficiencies are at. If I actually open up and look at the top 9, another observation that can quickly come out, these are the details that are hidden in your data that aren't always necessarily transparent when looking at KPIs in a dashboard. Understanding the story behind the KPIs is as important as the KPI itself. Through this view, looking at the top 9, one can see that as our process always starts at one particular point, immediately there are transactions that are going in and being resolved. And what this indicates is that there are situations that are being entered into the ticket system that aren't really the full transparency of the time, who's managing it. These items might be a single phone call and immediately marked as resolved, but they never actually get entered as new. We don't know what that transparency is in terms of the ticket itself, other than what is probably written up in the description. And while this might seem normal, there is a opaqueness to these transactions as to what's really happening, especially when trying to look at performance, process, and how resources are being consumed. If I show you what the entire 4,000 variations look like, one can look and see that this becomes a very complicated spaghetti bowl where tickets are being handled a number of different ways. And while this is a bit much to look at, you can pan across and get the 50,000 foot view of where hours are being spent. 13 here, 141 there, another 8 hours over here, another 138 hours. These can become initial hotspots where one can focus in trying to streamline the overall performance. If we look at drilling into the analytics, one of the benefits that we have with Celonis is not only can we tell you the story of your process, in the case here of how your tickets are being handled, but we also have the ability for the BI analytics capabilities, drilling down in to see what throughput times are, what are the type of contacts, We have the ability to be able to, similar to what you would call the dimensions or the searchable attributes, we have the ability to change this selection to look at the various countries to see where they're coming from, especially if we are a global support center. We also have the ability to look at the various contact types, and you can see where there are some significant variations in terms of the support provided via phone, via self-service. Maybe this is something in terms of the knowledge capital that can be sharpened, so self-service hours are improved. Additionally, we have the ability to select and filter at any time, focusing on this case just on the cases that are, within the 9 hours or less. We can remove those filters. We have the ability to start looking at the automation and seeing where these various steps are automated, just how much automation is taking place, and trying to find bottlenecks. This should always precede any sort of RPA efforts, because the P in RPA is really about the process, and it's best to understand it before we begin to automate it. So this gives you the metrics and ability to find the low-hanging fruit for automation through both a visual representation as well as the detail metrics here. Additionally, we always want to be able to establish what a gold standard looks like. So in this simple case, this is the ideal state of what we want a ticket to be handled. And we do understand there are variations, and that's where the conformance tracking gives us that capability to be able to drill down, see what our throughput time is based on what the gold standard should be, seeing how many additional steps are being taken, looking at what the overall conforming cases are, and in this case, we can see there are 20 violations. The power with Celonis is the ability to be able to leverage the machine learning, let the machine learning tell you where these problems are originating from, and then in this case, you can see 24% of these cases are awaiting user info. This is a major bottleneck in ways in which we can try to focus our change efforts, the things that we do to act upon the process, to be more efficient. What the machine learning allows us to do is simply click on this, perform a root cause analysis, and it will specifically tell us where these incidents are coming from, what are the priorities. Any of the data that is directly loaded in around your incident management becomes searchable, available, and allows you to go from a telescopic view into a microscopic view and find where those items exist. Additionally, one of the last things I wish to demonstrate for you is just how Celonis, in the case where we are mostly in our past history looking at spreadsheets, Celonis gives us the capability to breathe life into the data and start to isolate those areas where things might not necessarily seem right, but we can't quite pinpoint it. And being able to visualize what is happening in the day-to-day process becomes very key. And what you're seeing here is a year's worth of data, and every time you see at the top here this sort of burst of the orbs, it's a new day, and you begin to see where the bottlenecks are visually. You can start to understand how complex your processes are. And then as you look and monitor this on an ongoing basis going forward, taking certain checkpoints, you can begin to see how the paths are changing. And this really gives you that top-down, inside-out view. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Just wanted to give you a first glance for this, something to digest. Would love to speak with you further, but please reach out. We are at celonis.com. Thanks again. My name is Dave Kuno, and I hope to see you again here online. Thanks. See, documents, Zoom. C. Users.